Right. So, ADHD, it's pretty obvious that I have it. Or, at least, it is now. I went pretty undiagnosed as a kid for whatever reasons. So, recently, and by recently, I mean literally yesterday as of recording this, I finally went on ADHD meds. We finally managed to get an appointment set up that I had a few weeks ago, and I finally got the meds yesterday. As if I wasn't taking enough meds already, but I'm genuinely not complaining. I mean, it doesn't really bother me, and I genuinely couldn't care less. So, I've seen a few videos of people talking about their ADHD, and especially the one from Jaden Animations talking about them going on ADHD meds. So, I thought, why not make a video myself? So, going back in time a bit here, I've always had shitty memory, which me and a friend who has inattentive ADHD ended up making what we call the shitty memory squad that we're both in. But, to be fair, I'm not entirely sure if the poor memory is linked to the ADHD, or if I just unluckily have the worst memory for someone my age. Fingers crossed that it's not the latter. Otherwise, I'm just unlucky and cursed with shite memory. But I've always had troubles remembering things half the time. Heck, if I stop thinking about something long enough, I'll just forget about it altogether until something reminds me of it and I think about it again. Like, I especially forget that time exists constantly and only realize to check the time hours later from what I've been doing at the time. That, or I'll forget my phone needing to charge as a thing, and I'll snap back to reality by seeing the low battery notification. And I've probably said this before in another video, but I can remember something in full detail from nearly 5 whole years ago, but I can barely remember something from 5 minutes ago, which then started the inside joke between me and my friends that I have short-term memory loss, which I don't. Okay, so let me be a bit more specific, actually. So, I can remember in full detail something funny that me and my friends did or talked about during recess 5 years ago, but trying to remember anything useful I learned actually in school? Nah, not a chance I remember any of the actual useful stuff from my school years. But that one time when me and a friend tried to throw this one kid's shoes onto the roof of the school? Yeah, remember it like it was bloody yesterday. And it's not just the crap memory I have either. And once again, just stating here that I'm not sure if any of this is actually linked to my ADHD or if I'm just unlucky here, but how do I put... Okay, so, you have a thought in your head, right? Like, a singular thought about oh, I should pick up more bread today, or whatever. But then my brain is, well, kind of like that too, but with a few more thoughts being mixed in, and all being thought at once. So, imagine this is your thoughts right now, yeah? This is your brain, hey, I want to draw something, but I also want to grab a snack. I know, I'll eat something really quick and then get to drawing. Right? Okay, so now imagine that this is my brain. I should really work on some animating. But I don't feel much like it right now. I should just watch TV and brainstorm some ideas for stuff that I'll probably start and never finish before moving on to the next project. Yeah. Sorta something like that. I can never decide what I want to do half the time, and when I do, I barely have the motivation to do so. And sometimes I even have to force myself to get up and do that thing. Even if it's just something simple, my brain will just convince me that it would be too hard and boring. So, there is a bit more I could talk about here, but, yeah, I don't want to bore you with all the issues of my brain anymore, so I'll just skip to the part you guys are probably all waiting for. So, at the start of this, I did say that I finally got my ADHD meds, but did I take them yet? Yes. So, the amount, or dose, I got was 20 mg or whatever. Like, they said that they'd start me off with 20 to see what happens, and that they'd bump up the percentage or whatever if needed. So, last night, me being the night owl I usually am, took one around midnight-ish or so. I then went upstairs and decided to just work on some animating and wait for it to kick in, because, it's obviously not going to take effect the second I take it. So, I got a whole scene done pretty easily, and I barely had anything to distract me, and I was barely even fidgeting with my headphones, which I have noticed that I'll do from time to time, sometimes without even realizing I'm doing it until I kick out of autopilot. But, yeah. So, got this one scene done and decided to take a break from animating for the night. Now, usually I'll have a hard time deciding what to do, like I said earlier. But, after I turned everything off, I got this idea in my head and immediately started working on it while watching TV. No questioning if I should do this or that next. No, I mean, I want to do that, but I want to do this too, so no. I just grabbed my headphones, turned on the TV to Seinfeld, and started doodling away on my headphones. Uh, yeah, that was the idea I had. Drawing on my new headphones to make them look cool and unique, sort of. Also, remember how I said that my brain almost always has several thoughts playing at once? My brain was extremely silent and way less chaotic. Like, after I was done animating that one scene, I couldn't tell if the meds had kicked in yet or not, because, like, I couldn't really tell if I felt all that different or not. I mean, my brain felt a lot more calm and quieter than usual, and I wasn't always thinking of one thing that leads to another, then to another, but I felt almost the same otherwise, so I couldn't tell if the meds kicked in or if that was just me. Also, as of recording this, it is now 9:30 a.m. from being the midnight that I took those at. Like I said, night owl. And I can't tell if the meds have worn off yet either. I mean, how long do these last? I don't bloody know. I just know that I take them either once daily or just, take one when I need to get done. I mean, I was fidgeting with my hair a bit earlier during this, but, like I said, no clue what's linked to the ADHD and what's just some unlucky thing that I've been cursed with. I, I do have a magazine that my mum bought me a bit ago about ADHD, but you think I read all of that through? Yeah, I skimmed it and skipped the parts that my brain deemed as boring, but that's about it. I don't know how this works. I just know that I'm stuck with it for the rest of my life. Thanks, Dad. You had it, so I know it had to have been you that passed it down to me. Curses genetics. So, to wrap things up before this episode gets any longer, meds worked pretty well, from what I could tell. Didn't help much with the bad memory, mind you. Memory was still a bit bad, but all in all, I'd say, ooh, look, a bird. But, in all seriousness, at the end of the day, I do find ways to work around my differently wired brain, as one of my friends put it. And speaking of friends, one last thing I will say before actually wrapping things up, it really helps to have a friend with similar issues that you can both talk about. Because, like, I'm just always tired, right? Like, I can sleep as little or as long as I want, and bam, tired. So, I've been drinking energy drinks, Monster Rehab to be specific, to try and keep awake when needed, which never seemed to help. I'd still feel tired. So, my friend I've been mentioning with the inattentive ADHD and I were Google chatting a bit ago, and he's like, hey, random question, but you've been drinking energy drinks to feel less tired, but you're still tired, right? If not more so afterwards? Uh, yeah. Why? Well, I recently found out that energy drinks have zero to little effect in those with ADHD, so that could potentially be the reason. Don't ask why I made his voice sound like that. Yeah, so anyways, To keep it short, I cut back on the energy drinks and found myself being less tired. The, the whole thing, I've been drinking to stay awake and feel less tired, was the thing that was making me so. But at least he told me that, and I cut back on them. Thanks, Flim. Now, before I ramble about something else when I was supposed to have ended this episode already, I'll just cue the good old outro. Bye.